All right. Welcome back, everybody. Facebook Live here. Happy Friday. As always, Rex Kehoe with Patrick Crowley. We are at deep dive number 54.
Yeah, not your smoothest intro, but we are happy to be back with you all.
Well, you kind of threw me off.
Yeah.
All right. Today, actually, pretty fun topic here. It's a term that we hear all the time in the solar industry, and if you're shopping around, it's definitely a term that you hopefully have heard about, and hopefully you know what it means. So the solar panel price per watt, also sometimes referred to as what, PPW, I believe people will call it that.
Yep.
So, as always, ask us anything, write us a comment, give us a call, shoot us an email. We will answer any and all of your questions. So price per watt. What is price per watt? How do we calculate that?
Pretty simple. It is your gross system cost divided by your total system wattage. You know, you're obviously usually you're going to see your system in kilowatts, so just go ahead and multiply that by 1,000 to get your price per watt. You know, if you're actually wanting to do this math, and make sure that your gross system cost is your full all-in cost.
Yes.
You know, you don't. There's
That's
a lot
true.
of times things get knocked off the top.
Incentives.
Because really all that price per watt is a way to compare different solar bids. If you're looking at solar bids and you don't know what this is, stop, give us a call. Because that means that somebody is playing you, because it's really just understanding what you're paying per unit.
Exactly.
And we'll get into what makes up this and what determines it and why it might be higher or lower in certain situations. But this is a very, very important number when it comes to comparing solar bids.
Exactly. And then just kind of the equation, if you will, price per watt equals your gross system cost divided by the total watts of your system. Okay, as Patrick mentioned, it's going to help you compare solar quotes. Sometimes system sizes are going to vary, but if you can find the price per watt, you can now compare two system sizes that aren't actually the same.
Right.
So here's an example. So $3 per watt, this would mean you have a $15,000 solar system, and there's 5,000 watts, also known as a 5 kilowatt system, which is a pretty standard residential solar system size.
Yep.
That's going to give you a $3 a watt cost.
Yeah, you would see on your solar proposal, you would see a 5 kilowatt system.
Yes.
So that's an important distinction to make.
Yep.
Not your kilowatt hours either, which
That's
is what
true.
your system will produce. A lot of things that sound the same might mix you up, but those are kind of things to watch out for when you're trying to do this math on your own.
Absolutely. And I don't know if we get into it too much, but let's see. Let's back up here. So 5,000 watts. So if we're looking at the size of the system, as Patrick mentioned, it's not the kilowatt hours that the system produces, but the size of your system of 5,000 watts, that's going to consist of, if we're using a 300 watt panel, 15 of those solar panels is going to equal that total size of your system. So just kind of a way to let you understand how we arrive at the total wattage of your system. It's the combined watts of all the solar panels that make up your system.
Right.
Just wanted to dive into that.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Okay, so PPW, the price per watt, some things that can make your price per watt increase. Smaller systems, why would that cause it to increase?
Just economies of scale, right? So if an installer's going out to your house, they're going to roll one truck, whether you got a 5 kilowatt system or a 20 kilowatt system. And there's fixed costs that go into everything.
Yep.
And so the larger the system, the lower they can get down on the price per watt. Obviously the total contract cost will increase, but the price per watt will be a little bit higher, just because there are some just fixed costs.
Right? Yeah. So as Patrick mentioned, your installer's gonna have to pull a permit, for example, no matter if you have a 2,000 watt system or a 10,000 watt system. But that permitting cost is going to be the same. So it's going to look more expensive on that smaller system.
Right.
Adders. So there are certain adders that may be included in the price per watt. A couple of adders. What would be
any electrical work, roof work, trenching. If you wanted to get an electric vehicle charger added onto your project, or interior conduit run. Some installers include these things for free, but some charge. So it's just kind of the little extras, so to speak. Sometimes necessary, sometimes by preference.
Right.
Those will obviously drive up your cost, and since they're not going to change your system size, getting a new electrical panel doesn't change that 5,000 watts. It's 5,000 watts, but you might need electrical work will increase the cost.
For sure.
Which is a little bit of math.
The price per watt.
Yep, there you go. Yeah.
Very good. And then atypical roof. So in California at least, we see a lot of Spanish tile, clay tile roofs, and some installers, not all, they do charge more for that kind of a roof. Metal standing seam roofs. There's a lot of different kinds there could be.
Flat roofs as well.
Flat
We'll see a lot
roofs
of
as well.
extra charges
Yep.
for that. And they're not obscene extra charges,
Right.
but it's just a different type of labor.
Sometimes different hardware as
Right.
well.
And you'll even see it regionally, where a concrete roof in California, it's pretty standard to not see a charge, or if there's a charge, it's very marginal. But if you see that same roof in New York or Massachusetts, where that roof type is a lot less common,
Yeah.
it's something the installers aren't quite as familiar with,
And they
or
might not have those, the standoffs, the
Right.
hardware that's needed for
they
them.
might need to do a special order, so they don't
Yep.
have a full warehouse of that stuff. So that can drive up your costs. So that's
Absolutely.
another thing.
Installer travel, hopefully, you're finding local installers, and that's what we
Right.
always try to do. But you might live out in the boonies, and it's a travel for anybody. You might have a higher price per watt than somebody that might be in the city or somebody closer to that installer. So
Right, and it's not just on that geographical permitting can change, and so sometimes the cost to permit a system, we see it in New York City a lot. Really.
That's true.
Just in Westchester County, New York City, both Con Ed territories, sometimes different costs in the city, just because of maybe it's travel, maybe it's permitting,
Yep.
familiarity with certain things. It can vary.
yeah, absolutely. I would imagine navigating through New York City is a little bit more tricky than
Yeah.
other places
Yeah,
too. They
yeah.
might want to charge a little bit extra.
Especially with like a van rolling the truck out
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah, getting everyone on the roof.
Another thing that's gonna raise up that price per watt is the equipment. So if you want premium equipment, it's gonna come at a premium cost.
Right.
So you may need it. You might have a roof that's constrained with spacing, and we've
Sure.
talked about this in other episodes. But you might want that premium panel. Just know it's gonna raise that price per watt up a little bit.
Yeah, that should be pretty simple.
Yep.
If you want the higher brands, you have to pay more.
Right.
Toyotas and Ferraris don't cost the same.
Yep. Exactly. Sales markup. This is actually an interesting one.
Mm.
So.
Do tell.
If you're working directly with a solar company and you have a salesperson that's in your home, trying to get you to sign on the dotted line the first time you've met him, his company may or her company may give them the flexibility to charge you whatever they think that you're willing to pay.
Yeah.
So you might see that price per watt go from $3 to $6, and not really sure why. And it could be that person sitting in front of you thinks that you're going to pay him $6 a watt.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of an unknown value. There's no fixed value on what a sales markup could be.
Yeah.
But that can be a red flag if it jumps up and you're not quite sure why there's such a higher markup.
I mean, especially with any large purchase, you don't want to get one offer.
Yep.
Because then you don't have any basis for comparison. You don't know if you're getting a good deal.
Yep.
That's really what our whole platform was born out of.
Yep.
Was the fact that you could go, you basically have it is more of an older practice in solar industry, but it still exists.
Yep.
Where salespeople would come into your house and they would have a bottom line where they could not go below that bottom line, but there was no upper
There's
limit.
no cap.
You know, and so that's one of the things we've been trying to fight in the solar industry is this perception of slimy sales tactics and things like that, where especially with older folks, people were just
Sure.
getting ripped off
Yep.
back in the day.
And
So-
there's obviously a lot of good companies out there, but
yeah.
there's a lot of there's a lot of companies out there that unfortunately practice these sales tactics. So
Right.
Pick My Solar, we kind of get rid of that for you. So come to us and we do all that shopping.
Yeah, and obviously every company that's out there needs to make a profit, or else they wouldn't be a company.
Sure.
So the sales markup exists for every company and it is variable.
Yeah.
We just try and cut through the
Mitigate
noise.
that a little
Right.
bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so that's what raises the price per watt. Now, what can decrease a price per watt? Guess we can talk about that, but we've pretty much touched on larger systems. Economies of scale, as Patrick mentioned, we're going to see that lower price. Standard equipment. I guess we can maybe give a couple of options here. Still quality equipment.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we just kind of we refer to them as a base module and an upgrade module.
Yep.
Right. And the base module is just something that it's not necessarily a bad module. One of our most popular base modules, so to speak, is the Hanwha Q-Cell, which is the most popular module brand, at least on our platform, and that's because it's a high efficiency. It's 18%, has really attractive all black options, black
Yep.
frame, bankable company, very good offering. And if you have the roof space,
Yep.
I would recommend what we call standard equipment every time.
Yeah.
You don't need the premium. If you want it, by all means, but
Right.
you don't need it.
Absolutely. And I know, again, we've touched on this in other episodes, but with this standard equipment, you might just need to add, 2 extra solar panels also called modules in the industry.
Right.
But you might need to add a couple more solar panels just to achieve that same production, but it's going to save you some money. So that's definitely a way to look at it.
That's exactly why price per watt is important, because if you're going to increase the number of panels that you have, then you're like, well, of course it's going to increase my cost, but then compare
Right.
it against something
Sure.
else, and it will be pretty clear which is the better value.
Absolutely. Marketplace quotes. So marketplaces like Pick My Solar, we basically have created a competition for our homeowners, so that naturally is going to drive down that price per watt a little bit. Group buys, similar thing. So if you're got your entire neighborhood ready to go solar with one company, they're probably going to be inclined to give you guys a little bit of a discount, just
Right.
because everything is in one area, less truck rolls, and they're getting a lot more business kind of in one one project, if you will.
Sure.
Is that it? Short and sweet.
Simple enough.
So that's it. So we've kind of hinted at it, during this show, but Pick My Solar, competing solar solutions from top providers. Come to us. We'll figure out what you need for your solar system, see if it makes sense. We have a network of qualified solar installers all throughout the country. We will have them place bids on your project, and we'll give you the top 3 options to choose from. Anything else?
No, that's simple.
That's it. Happy Friday. Have